Hello, I'm Vicki Hogarth and welcome to Southwest Magazine. The novel coronavirus has quickly created a new normal for people around the world. Southwest Magazine is dedicating a special series to profiling local Charlotte County businesses and organizations that are using innovative strategies to overcome social distancing. Today, I'm speaking with the founders of Fundy Market, a locally sourced delivery program for Charlotte County that brings the concept of a farmer's market online and delivers locally sourced food and artisanal products to your door. But first, I'm speaking with Geoff Slater, Creative Director of KIRA, Kingsbrae International Residence for the Arts. Slater is teaming up with KIRA's alumni from around the world to offer creative tutorials online. Aptly called KIRA Creative Quarantine, the video series includes lessons that anyone can do at home, from drawing and sculpting to singing and writing, led by artists from their homes around the world. I asked Slater how this idea came together.
Like so many of us, caught in this quarantine crisis, at KIRA, we've had to make adjustments. I mean, usually this time of year, we're planning to receive international artists from around the world that come to our little community and make art, tell story right here. And, everything is so up in the air now in the world. It's looking like we're going to have to make adjustments. And, we got Masha. I'm going to give you the Canadian version of her name, and then I'm going to attempt the Dutch version of her name. You probably know Masha. Masha Schenkel, or Masha Schenkel. That's my terrible Dutch pronunciation. Anyway, that's for Masha. Masha and I were discussing, maybe something that we could do that was a little bit outside of the box with KIRA. And of course, what we came to is we have this fantastic alumni, over 60 artists that have come from around the world to visit us in St. Andrews, all of them creatives. And, there's a lot of organizations doing art lessons online right now because people are in lockdown and stuff. And we wanted to touch on that because the more the better. Art is soothing, therapeutic, relaxing. It has so many, fantastic healing properties that right now is a great time to be, having more lessons out there. But what we have with our KIRA alumni are these international people that are in different parts of the world going through exactly what we're going through. So we got brainstorming, Masha and I, how this could look. So what we came up with was a bit of a template for them to follow. So what the artists do is they give us a nice little summary of their situation wherever they are in the world, whether that's in Queens, New York, or down in Panama City, Florida, or in Hong Kong. Of course, we have artists from all of these places. And so what they do is they give a nice little synopsis of what they're going through, where they are. And then they, tell us, their state and how they're doing personally. And then they give us a nice short art lesson that anybody can do at home with readily available supplies. So you don't have to go out and get, like a $5,000 art kit to be able to do something. They have specifically, we've challenged them to come up with things that they can do at home. And so then they give us their art lesson. And then at the end of it, they sum it up with kind of a universal message, be safe, wash your hands, listen to your health authorities, that type of thing. And so that was sort of the premise. And then, of course, to give them a model, both Masha and myself came up with a video. I did a drawing video, and Masha, who's a fantastic singer-songwriter, did a vocal lesson. And so this was our example to the artists to follow. And we had sort of a time frame in mind, nothing really much longer than 10 minutes. We wanted them to fit into that time frame. And the response has been, from our alumni, has been overwhelming. So We have 4 up now. We post them every Tuesday and Thursday, and another one goes up tomorrow. And that's sort of the gist of it.
Can you give people an idea? I've tried 2 already. I tried yours and I tried an artist from Queens. I did a sketch one. Can you give people an idea of like whether it's for beginners or artists of all skill level, and also like what kind of arts it's encompassing? I know that it's crafts, drawing, singing, but what other areas of art does it touch on?
Well, I thought we were challenging our alumni by saying we want this to be something that could be done by children as young as 6 and adults as old as 80, right? So that's hard to do. It's easy to come up with lessons targeted at a very specific age. A little harder to come up with activities that really cover a broader range. But so far they're doing a pretty good job with that. So if you went through mine, for instance, any adult would find the lesson that I do with drawing quite interesting, but also any child would, and both get distinctive and unique results from it. And that's the challenge we gave our alumni, and so far they're delivering. And as you asked, it ranges from music, sculpture, sculptural craft. We have a fantastic one with Kathy Bruce. So she's a Fulbright scholar and a fantastic sculptor who made a beautiful sculpture out of bamboo. This maiden in our hidden garden, and I don't know if you've ever seen that. It was just wonderful. But Kathy shows people how to make a headdress out of just twigs and sticks she found out on her yard. And she's an American artist. She's based out of New York City, but she's been stuck in Liverpool, England. That's where she's undergoing lockdown, and she just went out into her backyard and grabbed some sticks and showed everyone how to make a fantastic headdress, such as her talent. So that's I got to try that.
That was obviously an important element, is finding things people can do with supplies they already have.
Right. Oh, and there's painting, drawing, sculpture, music, you name it. If we have writing, of course, writing. Both Roger Moore, New Brunswick's poet laureate, and sort of a hidden treasure at Kira. He's sort of our poster child in our video. Roger, he did a fantastic little lesson on how to write a poem, and I've been banging those off ever since.
As you said so beautifully, it gives also some insight into how people are being affected by COVID-19 and lockdown around the world. What have you learned as an artist, just looking at the different artists involved in this program and seeing their point of view? What has that given to you so far?
Well, that's I'm glad you brought that up, because I have found that to be the most interesting thing. We're all so connected, and we're all so similar in our situations right now, and I think we forget that sometimes. You think somebody living, for instance, in Hong Kong is living a completely different life than you, and it is not that way. Their concerns are the same. Their fears and their hopes and the way that they're coping is very similar to ours. We fortunately are living in a part of the world where we're isolated enough, and enough of us live rurally that COVID-19 has spared us a big outbreak, and that mixed with our government getting on it very early, and all the informative information that you guys have done. You really, it's amazing how much you really started to count on local entities again, and I think that's been a nice thing as well. And that's a common thread too. Like listening to your community channel, the news in your paper, all your local suppliers for food, all of these things are coming to the forefront again, as they should be. And I think we've been closer to that in New Brunswick than other places, luckily. Um, and if they're struggling in other places that are larger centers, uh, it's because maybe they've lost a little bit of that, and they want it again. And that's a common thread, I think, amongst the conversations with people. So it's fascinating to witness uh, perspective from all parts of the world, and that's sort of the hidden treasure of Kira, is that we invite people from around the world to participate in storytelling and making art in our little corner of the world, but it gives us a powerful voice globally as well. We're able to tap back into this alumni and have them share and give us it gives us a strong voice globally. I think when you watch these, you can be just as riveted by the commentary as by the art lessons.
And also, there's that therapeutic element to art that you were mentioning, and sometimes doing an art form that might not be your first choice or the thing that you consider yourself best at or most interested in has extremely therapeutic qualities. Have you found that by doing the other tutorials, whether if it's something that's maybe not your chosen venue, that it's had therapeutic elements for you?
Very much so, and in fact, as a practicing artist, it's something that I know a lot about. It's an activity that I'm drawn to, that centers me, and I love pushing myself outside of my comfort zone and trying these other activities and other ways of creating. And something that's come up that I didn't know is, they're starting to come up with a term for people now who are, on the front lines, healthcare workers, and it's called moral injury. And so it's not PTSD, but it certainly is, a recognized discussion point, for mental health. And so moral injury, is sort of the starting point to, further ailments like PTSD. And of course, we have a lot of people on the front lines worrying about their health, their families, but having to push through and service the community. And they're the people we call heroes, like, the young man who put my groceries in the back of my car is, my new hero. Like I think the world of him. He's got a lot of courage, and I think we're looking at people like that different. But he may, be suffering from moral injury. And one proven fact is that art activities address moral injury. They're soothing, they're therapeutic, they're relaxing. They give us a sense of accomplishment. They calm us. They put us in the present, and that's the key to dealing with these things. When you are right in the moment, when you're right in the present, in the act of creation, the worry leaves you, and that is the gift of creation, and it's in all of us to do. So I think it's never been a better time to engage in these activities and to encourage others to do it, and to introduce it to our children, and or our seniors, or anybody who is willing to try.
For people who do want to follow them regularly as they're released, how do they subscribe to your YouTube page and follow you online to get updates?
Well, we've decided to post on social media. So on our Facebook page, that's Kira. So it's the Kingsbrae International Residence for the Arts and Amphitheater. That's a mouthful, but if you just enter Kira in your Facebook search, you'll get that. And it's on Instagram at Kingsbrae Arts Center, Kira Kingsbrae Arts Center. We have a YouTube channel as well, that's just the Kira Creative Quarantine. And all of them are under tutorials on our website, which is kingsbraeartscenter.com. So if you go to the website and click on tutorials, you'll see the block of Kira's Creative Quarantine, and you can just start choosing which ones you want to participate in. Start with that drawing one. That guy's crazy.
Now, as we get closer to summer, we still don't know what the future holds in terms of what we will be allowed to do. Do you know if you'll be continuing doing this throughout the summer, if things are different for Kira and the artists this year?
Well, as far as the Creative Quarantine, I think we'll keep putting them up as long as the Kira artists post them. The nice thing about this type of thing too is it's evergreen content. So although we've framed it with the what's going on as far as COVID-19 in these places, they could be edited to just be art lessons as well. So the exercise is a fantastic one. I have to say that if it weren't for Masha, none of this would happen, because as you know, with video projects, she's the person that has taken the raw footage. And that's another thing, we made sure that it was shot on something I shot my video with my phone. I believe Masha did as well. So we didn't want it any more complicated than that. So she takes that video, gives it the coordination that it needs, so they all look the same, edits them so they're about the same length, puts the text in. So although I get to speak about it, really Mash is the one that has done all of the work to give it the look that it has, and I have to commend her for that. It's been a big learning curve and a lot of work, as all of you know who do this type of thing for a living. It's the behind the scenes stuff is enormous.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Geoff, and I look forward to doing more in my own quarantine.
That's great. Good luck.
And that was Geoff Slater, Creative Director of Kira. You can find the Kira Creative Quarantine series on Kira's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages, as well at kingsbraeartscenter.com/tutorials. New videos are posted every Tuesday and Friday. Next up, fundymarket.ca founders Heather Almeida, Zoe Fitch, Brianna Cowie, and Xander Gopin came up with the idea for an online farmers market while conversing about their love of high-quality, locally sourced food and products. Launching in early May 2020, fundymarket.ca is quickly becoming a New Brunswick-based movement that connects local food producers and artisans to their market by filling orders online and delivering baskets to Southwest New Brunswickers' doorsteps. In the face of social distancing, Fundy Market has found an innovative way to stimulate the local economy, all the while promoting sustainability and an environmentally friendly lifestyle that reduces our greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you all for joining me today. Can we start off by talking about how Fundy Market got started and how you came up with the concept?
So I think we kind of all came to this idea, or some semblance of this idea, independently. I last fall was hoping to start to launch my own home baking business. And so I approached my friend Zoe, who had already done so and was pretty well established. And I asked her if she would be interested in partnering up to have a communal market space. That kind of unfurled this whole conversation that had been happening around St. Stephen with tons of different people about an idea and a desire to have more local food available. And then that idea kind of snowballed into what is now Fundy Market. And it wasn't necessarily our original plan and model, but that's just kind of how it worked out.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people, we ended up pivoting the idea pretty quickly following news of the pandemic. And we were at a really interesting place in our conversations with Xander and Bree about the idea of doing this local delivery service as a way of getting the goods made by local food producers specifically, but producers of a bunch of different kinds, into more hands of the residents of the area. And then with the advent of COVID-19, it ended up seeming like a business model that was actually really needed, anywhere, let alone just this area. So, yeah.
Can you talk me a little bit about some of the different vendors who are involved in it? I know Terry's Meats one, it's all over the board.
We're getting close to 300 products now. And so, yeah, you said Terry's Meats. He's also doing eggs, but we're looking at some other egg producers as well. As far as food goes, in St. Andrews, McGuire's Chocolate, St. Croix Olive, who does olive oil and vinegars. In the St. Stephen area, we obviously have Heather's Whole Foods, Zoe's Breads, Bread Riding Hood, great name.
We also have like local artisans as well. So Mariah Petch is contributing to the box too. And we also have like locally made cards by Emily Summers. And the vendor, I'm super excited about all of them, but we also have Wabanaki Maple, and it's made by a wholly female and indigenous group, which is really exciting as well.
Yeah, and we have we're mostly Charlotte County. We do have a few vendors who are outside of Charlotte County. So Wabanaki, they're in Tobique First Nation. Hanson Road Flower Company, although she's originally from St. Stephen, she's based in Fredericton now.
This week we're adding Piccadilly Coffee from Sussex and Tall Tom's from St. Stephen as well. So that's really exciting.
Can you talk a little bit about how taking part in it works? How do you place an order? Is there a minimum order, and when do you get it delivered?
It's pretty straightforward. I'm sure you've been able to visit our website, but we're just fundymarket.ca. So our orders will open every week on Friday. You can place your order straight through until Tuesday night at midnight when our orders cut off. We then arrange with all the vendors to get your fresh products for you. We package them and prepare them on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we partnered with a local delivery service, Source One Supplies from St. Stephen, who are delivering currently in St. Stephen, St. Andrews, St. George, and surrounding areas. So it arrives right at your door on Friday, and then we encourage people to either be home if they have something that's refrigerated, or to leave out a cooler for us. And then we also have a minimum order of $40 for delivery.
Nice. How has the first week gone? I understand you've been operating for a little over a week now. What was the experience like of the first week of delivering and orders?
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
We had 41 boxes and 288 products, and every single one of our vendors were bought from, which was really the most encouraging.
Also, when we think about farmers markets, oftentimes they aren't open in the winter. Is this something you plan to do all year?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's another thing, is that a lot of our vendors rely on this income seasonally from farmers markets. And so if we were able to provide this service year round, it would really help encourage a lot more people to see that this is kind of a feasible path and something that you can earn a living doing. So we really want to help build up our local vendors in our community and really help support the economy. And in this time when there are so many people who are potentially unemployed or facing changes into their job or their career path, or reduction in hours. So we're hoping that we'll be able to grow and expand. I know we don't want to speak too soon, but we are hoping to add some other cities around New Brunswick into our delivery route. So stay tuned, that will be coming soon. And we're pretty excited that we will hopefully be able to add some more employees to our market itself.
Do you think that this will encourage, especially younger people too, to get involved in sustainability in the province and being a part of growth locally?
In terms of sustainability, I think the pandemic has exposed how fragile the global economic system is and how communities need to be resilient and need to have local supplies of whatever can be supplied locally. And we live in a fairly rural area where it should be easy to grow food, produce food, have access to crafts, all of these things that I think are traditionally associated with rural areas. They should be thriving. They should come out of this absolutely thriving, and we want to be a part of that, and we want to connect people to make that happen.
Are you discovering even more things about the area that you live in terms of sourcing vendors that you didn't even expect were made here?
Yeah, I think it's been surprising to see how many things that have just been hiding around the corners in different spots in New Brunswick. That's one thing I'm really loving about our model, is that we are able to seek vendors from all over, whereas with traditional in-person markets, those vendors have to travel to those markets, set up with their products, and it's really time consuming and really costly for the vendors. So this is an easy way for them to reach new markets all around the province and make it really convenient too.
And from that, like just tagging on to that, from the vendor's perspective, it's such a godsend to have this infrastructure already built and set up in place. It means that for my bread orders, for example, I'm receiving an email that tells me how many products have been ordered, so that I'm not also facing a whole lot of potential waste. I'm just making the amount to fit the order. And especially for other vendors who are making things with a less expensive price point, with items $10 or under, setting up the infrastructure and the admin of getting your product out to so many people with a very narrow turnaround can be a huge challenge. So to have this all taken care of is, I think it's going to have immense positive impacts on the local economy.
If vendors finally want to get in touch with you, can they be added to your roster? Are you still seeking new people to be a part of your, it's actually more of a movement if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have ourselves, we're doing all the administration. So we have a sort of limited capacity there, but we definitely want more people, especially produce. One of the things that I've learned through this process, while a lot of stuff has come out of the woodwork, we're really hurting for fruit and vegetable producers down here outside of blueberries. There's only a couple of producing farms, and they do CSAs, and we found some people, but it's there could be a lot more. So if any people want to start growing produce, please do, and get in touch with us if you're not already doing it.
And vendors can email us directly at fundy.market@gmail.com, or they can also reach out to us on any of our social media platforms as well.
That was fundymarket.ca founders Heather Almeida, Zoe Fitch, Brianna Cowie, and Xander Gopin. I'm Vicki Hogarth. See you next time on Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO-TV, New Brunswick's only source for independent community television.